All right, welcome back to the channel. We're going to talk about Canelo Alvarez and Daniel Jacobs. Has to be considered a flop at the box office in Las Vegas. Coming up after this. All right, I think we can call this the DAZN effect. Canelo Alvarez numbers have come out for the gate in Vegas for the fight between himself and Daniel Jacobs. Okay, now for most people, these numbers would be good numbers. He did over $8 million, a little between $8 and $9 million in revenue from the fight, from the gate, not gross rep, from the gate, and good amount of ticket sales. I have all that in the, in the video for you to see in the graphics. But this is the worst performance that he's had since back in 2016 when he fought Amir Khan. And I think that has a lot to do with DAZN. If you don't know that there's a party going on, people don't show up, people don't get excited. And that is what I think we saw with Canelo Alvarez and Daniel Jacobs. Everything about this fight should have been good, but it was like a pretty girl in a dark room with no makeup on. Because there was no promotion, there was no excitement, there was no buzz, and the numbers affected. And if they don't get their act straight, I'm predicting that Canelo Alvarez's stock as the money superstar in boxing is gonna fall. I did a video before this fight happened. Obviously, this was an easy prediction, but I made the prediction. I said that there's gonna be more people in the US that are watching Jarrett Hurd and J-Rock, Julian Williams, in their fight for the WBA and IBF 154-pound championship. I almost let the IBO slip out of my mouth, but I pulled it back like I got sense. More people watched that fight. I think there was close to 1.3 million people averaged that fight the whole time, while there were 600,000 concurrent streams, whatever that means, for DAZN on Canelo Alvarez. So, and I'm talking about the United States numbers here. That's the poorest performance from Canelo Alvarez since he fought Amir Khan back in 2016. And the reason why I think that date is important is because that was the first fight that Canelo Alvarez had on Cinco de Mayo, or a Mexican holiday, after the real retirement of Floyd Mayweather Jr. following the Manny Pacquiao and Andre Berto fights. That was where Floyd Mayweather Jr. fought on Cinco de Mayo of 2015. He was done fighting on Cinco de Mayo after that. Canelo Alvarez claimed that date. And those two holidays, the first weekend of May and the second week of September, have been the dates that Canelo Alvarez has been fighting on pretty much ever since. And he's been doing most of those in Vegas. And he used to get extremely, extremely good numbers. And when DAZN invested all this money in Canelo, and Vegas agreed to take the fight, and I assume put money in on that fight, they thought that they were going to get the same type of performance that they were getting from Canelo Alvarez fights before. But it wasn't the case. This marks a 53% dip in the attendance since his last Vegas fight. But let's walk through what his numbers have been. He fought back in Floyd Mayweather Jr. in Vegas back in, I think that was 2013, somewhere around there. Like I said, we'll have it in the graphics. You can correct me in the comment section. 2013. Then he fought a couple other times in Vegas against Angulo, against Lara, against Cotto. And Cotto, under the strength of Cotto, they did like $12 million at the gate, right? That's a strong performance with Miguel Cotto. But at the time, you could say, is that Canelo or is that Miguel Cotto? You know, it could be either, it could be both, because Canelo had a big name like that. But then from Khan on, you see that he did $7 million with Khan. He did, it's like $7,417,000 with Khan at the gate. Then he fought Chavez. His numbers skyrocketed with Chavez. With Chavez, he did $12 million. With Golovkin, it doubled to $27 million at the gate. After that, it took a slight dip, went to $24 million in the gate in Vegas, all the way down to less than $9 million. I'm just gonna say $9 million and round up to give Canelo, because I'm a Canelo Alvarez fan, and give Canelo some extra credit for that. That is a dip of 53% from his last fight. And Gennady Golovkin, obviously Gennady Golovkin is more well known, and is a good draw. So I'm not saying that it had to do in Vegas he is. And there was a lot of hype from HBO, but that is the hype from HBO that built Gennady Golovkin like that. Aside from the numbers, you listen to what Derek James, Errol Spence Jr.'s trainer, said, who went to the fight. He said that he was amazed by how empty the place was. He said that there were certain places that you go for previous pay-per-view fights or Vegas fights with Gennady Golovkin and with Floyd Mayweather Jr., where the whole area is packed, the casino's packed, the casino's making a bunch of money because people are out there gambling. And they said none of that stuff was happening. So not only was there a drop in, according to Derek James, not only is there a drop in the numbers that we see for Canelo Alvarez as far as who bought tickets, but there's also a reverberation of that effect, or a carryover effect, probably the better way to say it, onto the rest of Vegas, the scene that's there. Because when in big fights, there are people that will come to Vegas just to be there and gamble during the time that there are big fights, that want to be, at the events around the part of the event. They just, want to watch it, watch it somewhere else in Vegas just to be part of the fight scene and don't actually go to the fight. According to Derek James, all of that stuff was severely, limited as well. That it was a lot less exciting. The payoff for Canelo Alvarez is obvious. It's obvious. Canelo Alvarez just committed highway robbery. Okay, he might as well have had the same mask. You know how Floyd Mayweather Jr. walked into the ring with Conor McGregor with a ski mask on? That's exactly what Canelo Alvarez probably did when he walked in there to sign that contract with DAZN. And definitely when he walked in there to fight Daniel Jacobs, because Canelo Alvarez got paid $45 million or $35 million on an $8 million gate with no pay-per-view. There's no way in the world he would have earned that amount of money on with that type of ticket sales, with that type of gate. But this is DAZN, and what DAZN is trying to do is DAZN is trying to buy their way into the boxing scene. They're trying to, because they wanted to sign, from what I understand, a bunch of smaller fighters, get a bunch of smaller, lesser known fighters or the PBC fighters in there and give them a bunch of really good competition on a week by week basis and get boxing fans onto that site. Now what it seems like they're doing is they're trying to pay gigantic sums of money to a couple big name fighters and then hope we turn in to watch it every once in a while. You can also see the same thing with the ticket sales for Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua, they came out with this announcement about how Anthony Joshua was selling all these tickets, right? Because it was the biggest pre-sale ever for Madison Square Garden fight, right? All that hype. We broke that down in another video. But you go look at the ticket sales for Anthony Joshua. First of all, they're priced through the roof. But secondly, there's a ton of tickets available for that fight. And I won't doubt at all if they don't wind up having to give those tickets away too. Because important for people to know that the fight is going to be happening. Not just pay a guy a bunch of money and expect that, you know, if you just build it, they will come. That's not how it's working. But, you know, to each his own. Man, good luck on Canelo Alvarez for getting all that money, man. He didn't even have to go out there and promote too hard when you pay the guy in advance like that. But anyway, it is what it is. I just wanted to share that with you, man. But like I said, it's Canelo Alvarez versus Daniel Jacobs. Was a pretty woman in a dark room with no makeup because you couldn't see her. It didn't look good because nobody saw it. Nobody knew about it. Not many people cared about it because there wasn't an electric atmosphere around it that you get from having fights that are available for a bunch of people to see. So anyway, it is what it is. And with that, I'm out. Peace.